We are live. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? I should probably check my internet here. I have been having issues, as some of you know, with my internet. One thing I can do is try to protect the bandwidth in my house. All right, so welcome to the Everyday Zen Livestream. I believe we streamed, let's see, 2 weeks ago? My plan was to do this every 2 weeks. We'll just see how it goes. I believe 2 weeks ago was the first live stream of the year. And I've been brainstorming ideas about the live stream and how to move forward with them in the future. But I'm brainstorming a lot of ideas. Like some of you know, I always do this. We don't know how it's going to turn out. But definitely want to have a little more focus to them. And also give chance to connect with people around the world and also answer questions. Because I know a lot of people have questions. And let's see, they either email me. So some people go to my website, jasonquinzen.com. Just wondering if I have a banner of that. Do I have that? No, I don't think so. jasonquinzen.com, and there's this one that says ask a question, and people can submit a question. Some people just email me directly. Some people are leaving comments on my YouTube channel. Now, some of those responses I've been turning into videos. Some of you know I have Answering Your Questions series on my YouTube channel, jasonquinzen.com. I guess that's it. That's a little big. It's very big. And sometimes if I have a chance to meet with someone one-on-one, which I also do, they'll have questions there. So if you do have any questions about anything, Zen, meditation, practice, life, any kind of question, just put it into the chat and I'll try to respond. So let's see. The first thing I like to do is go through the chat and see who's on here. I'm not sure who's on here yet. Let's see. All right. Oh, Cesare, of course, 11:05. Wow. So this live stream started 3 minutes ago. And Cesare posted this about an hour ago. So Cesare says, hello, everyone. Good to see you, Cesare. How you been doing? Let's see. Jason Quinzen says hello. Never met him before. I'm looking forward to meeting him sometime, though. Cesare, and you live in Silicon Valley. Big corporations steal all your bandwidth? Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange, Cesare. I would believe, I think Apple's probably maybe 12, 15-minute drive. Google's about 20-minute drive from here. And the area we live in, so I live in Santa Clara, California. Some of you know that. But in this area, there's no like fiber. I don't know. Do people even have fiber internet? I mean, I keep hearing about people who have it. Let me know in the chat if you have fiber internet. I see them in unusual places like these small towns in Kentucky. But I don't have any access to that. So which leads us to just regular old cabled internet, which I guess is better than DSL. But it has issues. And the only issues, I would say the speed's pretty good. Like I'm able to, usually, if everything's working fine, live stream okay, upload videos. The main thing is uploading videos because, boy, that can take up a lot of storage or bandwidth, a lot of bandwidth on that. I even get warnings from my internet company said, you're almost exceeded your bandwidth. It's usually right at the end of the period. And so like I'm a little cautious of it. But what happens here, it just goes in and out. Like sometimes it's just dead. That's just the way it is. So yeah, even though we are here in the Silicon Valley, we don't have the internet. So I don't know what's going on. Whoa, Adam's here. Very surprised, Adam, to see you. I'm happy to see you. Let's just rephrase that. Very happy to see you, Adam. Hello, how you been doing? Jammin Jones is here. Good to see you. Welcome back. Good afternoon. Sally's here. I'm glad you're here, Sally. Hi, Jason and everyone. Sally from London, UK, which is probably, let me guess, is it 9 p.m.? 10 p.m.? That's my guess. Say what? Hey, guys, I'm here after, wow, 3 years. Hold on. Let's read this. This is going to be interesting. Hey, guys, I'm here after 3 years, maybe. I've been following since you had less than 50 followers. And by the way, it's my birthday. Well, I'm glad you're here. Do you go by another name, or should we just call you Say What? There's so many people. I get emails saying, hey, remember me? I was like, God, I remember the conversation, but your name doesn't sound familiar. And of course, it's their YouTube name. By the way, happy birthday. And 50 followers. I mean, I was just thinking about this. I believe my channel started 4 years ago, officially. Like it wasn't 100% like I am now. But I remember, I mean, some of you remember when it was, who remembers when my channel was, I don't remember what it was called. My channel was called, can anyone remember? I even had a website. What was it called? Meditation Direction. I'm surprised I remember that. So I started a YouTube channel. I don't remember when I started it, called Meditation Direction. I had some idea in my mind, and it was just an idea that never matched what I really wanted to do. And I believe, Kish, boy, I'm not going to pronounce this right. Kishiji? Sorry, I can't say it right, but I'm trying. So I understand now. So, wow. So you were back in the day when maybe you were following the channel when it was called Meditation Direction. And then, and at some point, I guess 4 years ago, I changed it to Jason Quinn Zen. And I don't even know how many subscribers we are at now. Was anyone at the 24-hour live stream? It looks like a lot of my software now is not allowing me to do a continuous 24-hour live stream. I guess I would have to go straight to YouTube. Let's see about this. I know the channel's still small, but it's definitely more than 50 subscribers. It's growing, and it's the way it needs to be growing. 1,354. That's a lot. For me, it's a lot. So yeah, I would like to do another 24-hour live stream, actually. That was quite fun. So anyways, happy birthday. I'm glad you're here. And thanks for following so long. Let's see. Adam, here in Polish cities, fiber is common. Yeah, I keep hearing about it. Berkeley, like the Zen Center in Berkeley, Empty Gate Zen Center has it. A lot of people have it. It's just not even possible around here. Cesare, happy birthday. We have good cable, good speed. We have fiber, but the building's old with copper electric wire. So fiber is basically useless. I didn't think about that. Sally, yeah, it's 8 p.m. Okay, 8 p.m. Good. It's not too late then. By the way, welcome to the Everyday Zen live stream. If you haven't already, let us know in the chat where you are living. And if you'd like, if you have any questions about Zen, meditation, practice, life, any kind of question, you can put it in the chat. I used to feature videos from this series, but I just kind of changed things around, especially with the production and stuff. I've gotten a little more picky with that. But I do take your questions, and I can turn them into content. I never mention the people's name, by the way. All right, so let's see. Cesare. All right, Cesare is saying hi, Adam. Adam saying happy birthday. Still trying to see if I can pronounce this name, but I can't. All right, let's see. Adam says hi, Cesare. Say what says thank you. And also, I'm worried about my anger. I usually a good guy, but at times I lose my cool and I act if I'm possessed. Yep. It recently happened when I was with my girlfriend. I love her a lot. I don't want to hurt her. Yep. That happens quite often. You could ask my kids. I was trying to get my son here. I got a lot of news to share with you all, but I would, you can ask my son or any of my kids about anger, because sometimes it just appears. So don't worry about any of this first. So a lot of us have strong mind habits. Sometimes in Buddhism, we may say karma. So sometimes these strong mind habits just appear in the moment. There's nothing you can do. It seems like there's nothing you can do, but there are things you can do. So the first thing to look at is we start some kind of meditation practice. So something that's consistent, preferably daily, that we can do 15 to 20 minutes. And what we're doing in meditation is we're not trying to escape anger, thoughts, or feelings. We're seeing them for what they are. Or so we're seeing the truth of the moment. Because usually what happens is anger comes from thinking. So some kind of thought appears. We put energy into that thought. We hold on to that thought. So this is, you might hear this term attachment. And we start fueling it. Then physically, we start to reap the benefits or the cause and effect of this. Usually we don't see this whole chain of cause and effect. I remember sitting a 90-day retreat, and it was after lunch, the first sitting period after lunch, and everything was good. The day was going very well. I was feeling great. Then I started sitting, and something appeared in my mind that had to do with a situation with someone. And I think it was like maybe a year ago or something, 2 years ago, who knows? It was just something that happened a long time ago. And so immediately a little anger appeared in my mind. Like, man, that didn't go so well. That person wasn't very nice. Okay, so that's the thought. How do we teach meditation? We usually say how to keep your body, how to breathe correctly, and what to do with your mind. There's many kind of meditation techniques. So if we say, if the thought appears, see it for what it is. Don't push it away. Don't hold it. Don't fuel it. Just see it for what it is. Notice it. Then notice your breath. Notice the floor you're looking at. Notice what you're hearing, what you're smelling. That's it. But like I said, we have strong mind habits. And one of those habits is to hold the thinking and fuel it. So as I was sitting, the thought appeared, and I started putting energy into it. How could that person do that? Unbelievable, right? Then I felt energy come up, right? So already my breath, I'm not even sure what was going on with my breath, but energy up in the head. And then you start to feel, I don't know, everyone has a different experience with anger, but you start to feel it in the body. So me, it gets in the head and feels like there's a lot of pressure in there. Heart starts to beat faster, right? Then this is what we call perceived anger. And usually, if we continue with this, holding this experience, fueling this experience, then we act out on it. That's what happens. So, meditation practice, we're paying attention to everything that is appearing. We just read this morning a quote from the sixth ancestor of Zen, Huineng, where he heard this line, "Don't attach to anything that arises in the mind." That's our practice. That's the meditation practice. But like I said, sometimes we forget about the meditation practice and we start holding it, feeling it, and then the anger comes out. And maybe we just have perceived anger. We're inside angry, but outside not controlling our words or actions. Then maybe you notice your breath, energy comes back down out of your head. We let go, means we're not touching the anger. We're not touching the thinking, the feeling, any of it. Naturally, it'll pass. But sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you act on it. So meditation practice is not different in any kind of situation. So earlier I said, if my kids were here, they can tell you about anger. But what do we do when we express the anger or act on it? I know, at least with my dad, he would just get angry, would yell at you, and then that was it. Story done. He would never make it correct or clear. So you never knew what was going on. What happened? Did I do something wrong? La, 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 right? So there's a very important teaching that Zen Master Sung Song gave us. And that teaching is, if you make a mistake, make it correct. Another way of saying that, if we've done something, if our actions or words cause the problem or some unclarity, how do we make it clear? So I'm thinking of one incident with my son where I snapped at him. Of course, I didn't want to, but I did. But I noticed it. Didn't check myself, because then usually, such a bad dad. How could I do this? I've been practicing for 20 years. How come meditation, all that kind of stuff does not help the situation? We call that checking. Just see it for what it is. Then make it clear. So I remember going to my son and said, you know what? Sorry about that. I didn't sleep very well the night before. So I wasn't able to respond to what you probably needed, and it didn't come out the way I wanted. Can we start over? Boom. You make it clear. That makes the relationship clear. That makes the anger clear. Anger is not good or bad. It's just energy. So don't attach to it. So if you have a thought in your mind, don't attach to it. If that thought turned into anger, so you're feeling it inside, don't attach to it. If the anger is expressed to someone, don't attach to it. Okay? So that's the practice. And one thing I notice in any kind of relationship, whether if it's family relationship, romantic relationships, work relationships, there's usually some attachment to those people. I always say there's always this like unconditional love, especially in like families or if you are in some kind of intimate relationship. There's always this unconditional love, right? You want the person to be happy. You're willing to help them however needed. Then there's the attachment love. So the unconditional love and the attachment love. Attachment love means I want. It's about me. Your job is to make me happy. If you don't do this, this, and this, then I'm not going to be happy and I'll get angry. Right? So we got to pay attention to any kind of attachments, anything that we're holding in our life. So some relationships have very strong unconditional love, a little bit of attachment. You can't get out of that sometimes. But a lot of the cases, it's the other way around. There's a lot of attachment and very little unconditional love because people want something, are expecting something, and that causes a problem. Why does that cause a problem? Because if I don't get that thing that I want from you, then I'm not happy and I'm angry at you. Or I got that thing that I wanted from you. Now I'm happy, but can't keep it. It changed. So I'm not happy anymore. You ever hear this? Oh, you're not the person I met. Who is? You're not even the same person who woke up this morning than you were from the person before, the day before. So this moment, take a deep breath. Breathe out twice as long. Let your energy come down. What is happening right now in this moment, and how can I help? This is the direction of meditation. It's very simple. If you lose your cool and respond in a way that's not clear, make it clear. Make it correct. That's all. Don't hold anything, okay? I know it's easier to say than do. Anyways, let's see what's going on in the chat here. By the way, welcome to the Everyday Zen Livestream. Glad to have you here. Let's see. I'm just making sure I don't miss anything in the chat. Remember, I'd like to read everything that's going on in the chat because some people may be tuning in on Facebook, which you will not see that. So if they post something in Facebook, if you're on YouTube, you're not going to see it. If you're on YouTube, you're not going to see what people are posting on Facebook. Does that make sense? Michael, opinions on Vril. I don't know what that is. So I guess I don't. Say what? Do you think practice will help me notice that I've acted on my emotions or the rise of that emotion? Can practice improve my ability to notice? Yeah, of course. I might have mentioned this in the last live stream. I hope it's not too repetitive, but I think it's one of the most kind of clear teachings about cause and effect and karma. Okay, you ready for this? And if you've heard this last week, actually, you've never heard this before. So keep a clear mind. So we say meditation. Pay attention. But what does that mean? So pay attention to your thoughts because your thoughts become words. Pay attention to your words because your words become actions. Pay attention to your actions because your actions become habits. So we just talked about strong mind habits. Pay attention to your habits because your habits becomes character. So whatever you think you are is basically looking at our own conditioning and our own habits. But that's not who we truly are. That's another topic. Pay attention to your character because your character becomes fate or destiny. Usually we have some kind of experience, but we don't know what happened or how it happened. We just know the result. I'm angry. I'm scared. I'm confused. I'm happy. We don't see this whole chain of cause and effects because we're not paying attention. We're running off of our mind habits. We all do that. So you ask if practice or meditation will help you notice that I've acted on my emotions. Of course. Why is that? Because you're seeing your thoughts, you're seeing your words, you're seeing your actions, you're perceiving your habits, perceiving this character, which means we're seeing the result. That's all it is. It's not going to make things perfect, and you're not going to be perfect. And it's not going to be easy. In fact, some people struggle with meditation because they start seeing the truth of their own mind. And for a lot of people, that's pretty scary. So yeah, just keep doing it. John is here. Hey, John. John says, hey, you guys, did I miss anything? No. Because if you miss something, that means there is a past. But if you see this moment, it's 12:27 p.m. Pacific time, then you didn't miss a thing. All right. Okay, let's see. Adam says, hi, John. All right. So people are saying hi to John because he usually comes late. Oh, yeah. And John's saying, Adam, long time no see. That's right. We were just talking about you, Adam. Maybe you watched. How did we? I think, yeah, you must have watched the last live stream. I think I know what happened. Then you made a comment on that live stream. Am I right? Because we mentioned you last week or 2 weeks ago. Sorry about that. All right. Anyways, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Everyday Zen live stream. We're just hanging out. A good chance to let us know where you're living, or if you have any questions about Zen, meditation, practice, life, any kind of question. All right. Jim and Jones, good to see you. Welcome again. Can you talk a little bit about prajna and how it relates to meditation? You follow my YouTube channel, don't you? I was wondering like how many people actually watch the videos. I know there's the analytics and stuff. It's very interesting. I can never figure it out because sometimes a lot of new people get exposed to my videos. They're not necessarily subscribers. But I made a video about what is it called? How to develop wisdom. So prajna is another word for wisdom. So I'm going to give you the Reader Digest version of that video so you can watch it later. So the first thing that I mentioned is this innate wisdom that all human beings have. That everything in this world is connected. There's no separate, permanent self nature. Now, a lot of people ignore that truth. That's what the Buddha defined as ignorance. So in meditation, we're seeing the truth. So we're not going to a different realm. We're trying to get rid of our thinking or emotions. We're seeing the truth. So from practicing this, now it's not just sitting meditation. This can happen anytime. because meditation just means, how are you keeping your mind right now? So we can perceive this moment where we are not separate from anything else. Now, a lot of us have that experience, but again, we ignore it. You can jump into a cold lake, and at that moment, your mind, the moment, and this world are not separate. Sometimes we see the sunset where our mind and the sunset are not separate. It's just, now, moments later, we're checking it. Maybe we're taking pictures, putting it on Instagram. I do that. So there's this, innate wisdom that we already have. When Buddha realized this during his enlightenment, he said that all sentient beings have this enlightened nature. But what is this enlightened nature? So it's perceiving the truth of this moment. Now, there's a different type of wisdom that I talked about in the video that talks about developing it. So we just had a conversation from our friend from India here about perceiving cause and effect, perceiving our actions and words, and seeing what comes out of them. So in the quantum school of Zen, we talk about 3 points. I think this is important. Now, are there 3 points in reality? No. But for teaching purposes, it's very important to talk about. So the first point is this primary point. Now, this has many names, by the way. Enlightenment, becoming one with the absolute, awakening. Again, it's this experience of this mind and this world. We see that it's not separate. Because usually we're separating everything into opposites. The first core step of that is I. If we create an I, there has to be a you. I, you. Now there's us, them, good, bad, right, wrong, like, dislike. Do you see how I'm saying this? So the whole world's in opposites. So we're confused because it's not our original nature. This is our conditioning. So step one is to take away everything in our mind. So take away all of the opposites. Take away this I. Take away Zen. Take away meditation. What's left? So in Buddhism, you might hear of the six senses, right? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. These 6 senses have dusts clouding them. The eyes are clouded. I just see what I want to see. Or maybe I don't want to see what's in front of me. I want to hear what I want to hear. I want to smell what I want to smell. It's all clouded. So if we take that away in one moment, all of the dust become clear, which we end in step 2, This is for teaching purposes, of course. Your eyes wake up, just see. Ears wake up, just hear. Nose wakes up, just smell. Just perceive. But then what? So this is where the third step comes in, function. Another name for that is wisdom. How do we use this enlightened nature or this true self or this whatever word you want to call it? How do we use that in each moment? So this can take some time because we're learning how to use our words. So this is kind of going back to the whole chain of cause and effect. How do we use our thinking? How do we use our words? How do we use our actions? How do we use our habits to function in this world in a way that can help, offer some clarity and wisdom? So it takes a little time. That's why in the tradition I practice in, the Quantum School of Zen, we work with koans. And if you've gone through the koan practice with me or another teacher, you'll see these things very clearly. We first start with, boom, taking away these dusts. We have kongans that help us point to truth. Somebody asked Zen Master Umun, what is Buddha? So that means, what is truth? What is this enlightened nature? Umun said, a dried shit on a stick. Now, when I first read that, I was like, this is some bullshit. It's very esoteric. But actually, what I realized later is that Zen Master Umun was talking to this student by the outhouse. And there's a stick. This is the stick they used to stir the compost, was lying against the wall of the outhouse, and the sun was shining directly on it. So the student asked, what is Buddha? And at that moment, Umun perceived something very clearly, dried shit on a stick. Another master was weighing flax when a student asked, what is Buddha? And the master said, 3 pounds of flax. So again, pointing to truth. And then we have kongans that deal with real life situations. I've mentioned a few of them on this channel. And I've mentioned it probably in the video I made. So watch that video, how to develop wisdom. But it's kind of like something happened at a temple. And if you were there, how could you respond to it? We can't just remain in bliss or emptiness, because the moment requires some action, some wisdom. And sometimes that can take some time to develop. Okay, that's the long version of what I wanted to tell you. But check out the video. All right, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Everyday Zen Livestream. We're hanging out, answering your questions about Zen, meditation, practice, life, any kind of question. Go ahead and put that in the chat, or just let us know where you're living. Hey, Kevin's here. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Kevin says, hey, everybody, nice to hear this. I'm glad to hear that. All right, Jam and Jones, sometimes I believe that meant my videos. You should check it out. It's a good video, I think. Some people didn't like that video. Cesare, thanks, everyone. I go to sleep. Take care and see you soon. Yeah, it's getting very late for you. John says, take care, Cesare. So anyone else have any comments or questions? There is something I wanted to share with you. Again, I told you earlier, if you were here earlier, that I do receive questions by email. Sometimes I see them on my website. Sometimes they're in the live streams, and a lot of the times they're replies on or comments on my videos. So let me read this question. It was kind of interesting. As usual, I don't reveal the person's name. So somebody I know, uh, been increasing their practice, been practicing for 4 years, recently started practicing twice a day. And they said in Zen, sometimes we talk about being childlike, but childlike means gullible. How can we avoid being gullible? In other words, if people are lying or gaslighting us, are we noticing that? Is being kind the answer to everything? Should we simply be compassionate, but at the same time distance ourselves to avoid suffering slash both ours and theirs? Or is this already too much thinking? And I think this person noticed that already too much thinking. I think a lot of the times we overthink all of these things. And again, that clouds our view, that creates these dusts. And if there's dusts, then we can't perceive the moment clearly. So this interesting, like childlike, Zen means being like childlike, but childlike means gullible. So again, it's you might hear sometimes that Zen mind is like a child's mind. But what they mean by that is I'm just thinking of my son, for example, when he was 2.5, his mind was so clear, meaning that he was really always in the zone, paying attention to things. And I remember one day we were in the backyard kicking the ball around. And then he looked up and said, "Plane." And I looked up and said, "Oh, I didn't even hear the plane." I mean, it was pretty loud too. So I thought that was interesting. Like, even though he was doing something, he was kicking the ball, his mind, sometimes we'll say in Zen that your original mind is like a mirror. It just reflects everything as it is. But like I said earlier, this mirror is clouded. So this child mind is very clear, plain. It's like, wow, very good. So it doesn't mean being gullible. And I think where that comes from, my guess is that one thing kids don't have at that age, so my son was 2.5, is this wisdom that we were talking about. How to skillfully use this wisdom in our lives from moment to moment. So if my son was 2.5 and I, had a heart attack and fell down, he wouldn't know what to do. Even though they could see it clearly. So we got to keep that in perspective. So there's the clear mind, which is a very important step. But then how does that clear mind function in our lives? But we can't function unless we see the truth of the moment. And the only way we're going to see the truth of the moment is to clear these dusts, even the Zen dust, take it away, then it's clear. So is being kind the answer to everything? Should we, so being kind. So there's this idea too that the Bodhisattva path, so the path of helping this world, means that we're always like nice and kind. It's not true. If you met my teacher or Zen Master Sungsong, you'll know this is not true. So again, we even have to take away the idea of how to help, then we can truly help. So thinking of my son when he was 2.5, at that age also, he ran out in the front of the street when there was a car coming. So when he started to run across the street, I used very strong words, right? Anger. to get into his consciousness because he was really fixed on something at that moment. And these words hit his mind, and then he quickly got back to the sidewalk. And even though my words were very strong, I guess it would look like from the outside that it wasn't kind or nice. But the words went through this consciousness of his. And one thing, he was safe. Another thing, he never did it again. But also, he knew that this anger was coming out of love. Usually anger is not coming out of love. It's coming out of I like, I don't like, or I hate, don't want. So it's not about being kind. It's being correct at that moment. And it's always changing. There's no formula to any of this. I wish it was simple like that. Just write a formula and I mean, the Buddha gave us the Eightfold Path, but what does that mean? How do you actually do it from moment to moment in your life? So yeah, sometimes it's being kind, sometimes it's not. But it's all coming out of love and how can I help? That's really important. If I would have told my son, oh, Miles, sweetie, you shouldn't run in the middle of the street when there's a car coming, right? It's not going to resonate as much as the way I said it. Does that make sense? And let's see. So should we simply be compassionate, but at the same time, distance ourselves to avoid suffering? So there's many times, and we have to be honest also about be honest about the situation we're in, but also be honest about our own condition. There's times when we're not able to help or we're not able to be skillful in that moment. So maybe taking a step back is very important. I think even the Dalai Lama said that if you can't help people, then just don't hurt them. So yeah, sometimes you got to take a step back. If I know the night before I didn't sleep very well and somebody's coming to me with this big issue, I might say, can you ask me later right now? I'm really not 100% to help. So sometimes helping means not to do anything or not to do action. Do you see what I mean by this? So this is where I think meditation practice can really help, is first not to bullshit ourselves, be honest and see truly what's happening and just respond. Really, that's it. I think sometimes we feel like we either have some idea about ourselves or some idea about what we should be or what we should be doing, and it gets in the way of doing anything. That's clear. So this is how meditation practice can help. Take that away. Then what? Oh, here's this moment. What's happening right now? What is my job in this moment? And my job in this moment is to say, hey, Free Bird's Hearth. Hi, so grateful to be here. I'm glad you're here. You came near the end of the live stream. We have about maybe a few more minutes. I got to get going. Any last questions or comments before we go? I know some people are coming and going, not able to sit here. I know I do this at an unusual time, or at least for the people, I would say, where I live, which is the West Coast of the United States. Most people are working right now. They're not watching this. So some people are, I understand, in Europe, it's nighttime for them, so that's good. Someone who's here from India, but I have a feeling that's the middle of the night. What time is it there? They may be asleep right now. Let's see. Any last questions? Kevin, writing, but you're answering now. Here's the question. But what's my job at this moment? So what are you doing right now in this very moment? That's it. Don't check. Okay. There's this little checker in the mind that's always trying to get in the way of us doing what we need to be doing. Don't follow that checker. Its job is to check. So is this going to do it as much as you can? Oh, it looks like you're continuing this, Kevin. So I'm sorry about that. Free Bird's Hearth. Are you familiar with Tonglen? This is the Tibetan practice, right? Kind of like giving, receiving kind of practice. I actually heard a story about Tonglen that I found very interesting. Because really what this is all about too, like we hear about different practices and we may practice them, but how does that really manifest in our life? Okay. So I know there's practices where you kind of like breathe in the suffering, breathe out love and compassion. I think this is what Tonglen is. I could be wrong. But I know it's kind of like a giving and receiving, which actually means too exactly what I've been talking about. So even though the tech, let's see, yes, trying to relieve Trump's suffering so he doesn't cause much harm. Okay. So this is important. When we were just talking about this too, because it's not about changing the way we think or feel. It's actually becoming the moment. So that means we got to take away these dusts that are clouding our mind so we can respond. So maybe you take in the world suffering, but you use that energy to turn into how can I help? It's just energy, right? If you eat food, the food goes down, breaks down by your stomach, digests, turns into energy. It's the same way. So breathing in or practicing, so taking in the suffering of this world, using that energy, turning it into how can I help? So there's a story about a high school counselor who was working with this young 7-year-old woman. So this high school student wanted to move out of her dad's house and move into her mom's house. The counselor supported this idea. But do you think the dad liked that idea? The dad didn't like this idea. The counselor, so this dad wanted to meet with the counselor to see, hey, what's going on here? Why are you supporting this, right? This counselor is very nervous to meet this father because from talking to the daughter, this counselor knew that this father had issues with anger, was even relieved from the police force, fired basically because of his aggression, right? So this counselor is kind of freaking out. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to say, right? So much anger. So the counselor is trying to think of all of the things that he's going to say to this father. And he's even working out, we all do this. If they say this, then I'm going to say that. But if they say this, then I'm going to say this, right? So again, our mind is clouded with some idea. So when it came time to meet this father, the counselor was nervous, really nervous. I can fix my microphone here. Does that work? I look a little bit blurry. That didn't help. It's a cheap camera. So anyways, it's time to meet this father. And this counselor couldn't remember what he was going to say because he was so nervous about this anger. And he could feel the energy of this anger coming off this father. So he was a practitioner and he sat down and just breathed in, breathed out twice as long. And then he said, the counselor said that he accepted, first of all, not knowing what he was going to say. And he wasn't resisting the energy of this father's anger. In fact, we say he became one with it. So his mind and the anger became one. And then he goes, oh. And then he said to the father, you must really love your daughter so much to be this angry. Interesting response, right? He didn't plan that. But that came from this mind, again, taking away the dusts, becoming the moment. So I guess another way of saying that, taking in the moment, perceiving the anger. Oh, you must really love your daughter to be so angry. Then the conversation completely changed. Then the father started crying and really opened up something. So really, this is the practice of this Tonglen. This is the practice of Zen meditation. This is the practice with most meditations. Okay, I hope that was helpful. So Kevin, I just want to finish up with you before we go. So you're saying writing, but you're answering now. Here's the question, but what's my job at this moment on Just Do It? In finding myself in pain, and let's see, and first aid, treating with some kind of Wim Hof, I don't know if this is right, Wim Hof breathing method to feel immediate relief. I often skip meditation after, it just happens. What's a discipline prompt you might use to make a transition into 20-minute meditation? It's always the same. So first of all, the only time you can do meditation is now. There's no such thing as 20 minutes in. Because 20 minutes in is we're making a past and we're making a present. And we're often making a future. Kevin totally disjointed question. Sorry, no problem. I hope this is making sense. Okay, so we make a past, we make a present, and we make a future. You hear this all the time. Well, my mind will be clear when I go on this retreat in a few months, or only when I can, stop working, then I can really start meditating. Right? That's a delusion. Or there's like, you said 20 minutes in. Oh, 20 minutes. God, I've been in the dream the whole time. None of that's important. The only time you can do meditation is right now. That's the good news. Because if you were clear for 20 minutes, does that matter? It doesn't matter. Right now it matters. If you're in a dream for 20 minutes, does that matter? No, right now matters. So wake up. So, right now in this moment, what is happening right now and how can I help? When you're sitting, you just sit. When you're eating, you just eat. If you're feeding your kids, just feed your kids. If you're driving to work, just drive. That is the definition of meditation. We think meditation means sitting, but it's how do you keep your mind right now in this moment? So the only prompt you need to know is, what am I doing now? How can I help? That's it. And if I'm sitting, how can I help? Just like that. And that's why I said, I'm sitting here answering your question. That's my job. That is the point of meditation, okay? All right. Okay, yes, thank you. Good. I'm glad that's helpful. And Jonas is here and says, awesome. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for being here in the live stream. Again, I'm planning on doing this every 2 weeks, so kind of mark that in your calendar. I think the best thing to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notifications bell. Because if I plan a live stream, you'll get notified by that. And you can hit a reminder, like remind me about this live stream, and then it will send you a message. So that's one way of doing it. All right. So John says, Hop Chan, smiley face, Jam says, thanks. So thank you, everyone. I'm very glad you are here. Wonderful questions today. Don't forget what your job is. What's happening right now? How can I help?